This year we're reading from the Gospel of Mark, and Mark has a way of putting the material together to get his point across. Early in the Gospel, he had 5 times that the Pharisees came up to Jesus to try to trap him, and all 5 of those took place in Galilee. Now, later in the Gospel, he has 5 times where they're doing the same thing, but this time in Judea, in the south. Basic message is they're out to get him. And in fact, you can see it in today's Gospel. They say, should we pay taxes or not? If he says, don't pay taxes, he'll be denounced to the governor and killed. If he says, pay taxes, he'll be denounced to all the people who will say he's a collaborator, and they'll kill him. So there's no easy way out. But Jesus shows what's called cleverness. Now, cleverness is not being sneaky. Cleverness is knowing how to do things so that you can get ahead in life. Cleverness is knowing when to show up at the Glen Burnie DMV to get out in 15 minutes. That's being really clever. And Jesus says, well, show me one of your coins. And they pull out a denarius, and he's got him. Why? Because on the face of that coin is the face of the emperor. And it was illegal for pious Jews to carry around any image of an emperor or a pagan god. So they've been trying to trick him. He actually trips them. We need to be clever to survive in a good Christian life. And Jesus, in fact, bemoans that sometimes, that we're clever in earthly things, but not too clever in heavenly things. Why is it we can figure out how to pay fewer taxes, but we can't figure out how to be more charitable? Why is it that we can be kind to everybody at our work and smile, but we can't do that in our own family? Why is it we can't figure out how to forgive somebody after 30 years of holding a grudge? Or praying. Why is it that every evening we get to that part of the day when we can't do anything else, and we say, I'll give it to God? We sort of put our prayers in when we're most tired. Jesus says we've got to be clever in these things. Now, today's gospel touches a good topic for the season that we're in right now. We're getting ready to elect officials in November. And I don't know if you're the same as I am, but I'm already sick of it. I can't stand to watch the news, can't stand to watch the political commercials. What does Jesus say about civil authority? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. But you got to realize in the New Testament, that's not the only answer given. In Paul's letter to the Romans, he says, pray for the emperor, pray for his good. And you know who the emperor was at that time? Nero. Not exactly the nicest of people. In the book of Revelation, the other extreme, the Roman Empire, it's like the beast from the bottomless pit. It's a spawn of Satan. So which is it? It's not any of these all the time. And that's where, in terms of figuring out our politics these next few months, we've got to work on ourselves. Because very often we respond to situations with a knee-jerk reaction. I like this, I don't like that. But we have to ask ourselves, what is the most Christian stance to take? What is the most gospel-like stance to take? And I assure you, if you have found a politician who's 100% gospel, you don't know him yet, or her, because everybody has flaws. In fact, the inability to see flaws in the person we support is actually a form of idolatry. That we've said, this person takes the place of God in my life. We've got to be very honest with ourselves. We've got to work on our own conversion. And we've got to admit that when we vote, chances are we're going to do it like the Italians used to in the old days. They had the Christian Democratic Party, which was supposedly the Catholic political party, but they were corrupt as the day is long. And the opposing party was the Communist Party, So they couldn't vote for them. So how did Italians vote in the old days? We've got to realize that when we vote, we're not going to be totally pleased with who we vote for, or totally disgusted with who we don't vote for. We do the best we can in confusing situations. But to do that, we had better call on the Holy Spirit to help us, to purify our hearts, to make sure again that we're not just responding with a knee-jerk reaction, but really praying our way through this whole process. One simple way, when you see a politician who really gets you angry, say a prayer for him or her. It can't hurt.